Good morning. The last two bills we're hearing this afternoon were incorrectly both put in at 1 o'clock, but since the non-germane amendments I was expecting for both of them didn't come through, that means we can do them one after another and it should be fairly quick. And what else? All right. And it being 10 o'clock, I'm opening the hearing on Senate Bill 53, and I call Grant Bossy for Senator Gray.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Welcome to Monday. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. My name is Grant Bossy from the New Hampshire Senate, pinch hitting this morning on behalf of Senator Gray, Chair of the Senate Election Law and Municipal Affairs Committee. He thanks you for the courtesy of letting me introduce this bill on his behalf. Senate Bill 53 began life last year as a Senator Waters bill on a different subject. It was re-referred, and the committee ultimately decided not to go forward with it. However, Chairman Gray decided to take the opportunity to use this as a vehicle for some technical changes to the Department of Revenue Administration. The bill as amended would now clarify certain exemptions from RSA 21J14.4, the confidentiality of department records for the Department of Revenue Administration, and it adds an exemption for municipal services and regulatory responsibilities. This would not only clarify existing law, but increase transparency for the public. It passed unanimously, and we would ask for your support for, as amended, Senate Bill 53. If you have any questions for Senator Gray, I can make sure he gets you an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you know if this is necessary considering we've recommended moving the Department of the Assessing Board out of the DRA? Is this is their existing and previous records?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure how this would play with the other bill, but I would assume we would, if you move the DRA, the Senate would recommend this change moving along with it.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Bossy? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Patton?
Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, I am Betsy Patton, member of the Assessing Standards Board, representing the public, and am also the chairman of the Assessing Standards Board. I'm here today in support of Senate Bill 53. The ASB was charged in 2001 to set the requirements for certification and decertification of assessors in their duties of making appraisals of a municipality for tax purposes, which is RSA 21J 14F. These certifications and decertifications were never intended to be confidential or unavailable to the public or the municipalities. If a complaint was found to be incorrect, and then it would have been dismissed by DRA. This bill is a result of a situation where the certification records of a DRA employee were requested, and that request was denied based on RSA 21J14, which, as Grant has said, is the department's authority for confidentiality of department records. The change in Senate Bill 53 will add the regulated responsibilities of assessors, i.e. the certification and decertification records, to the exemptions to the department's confidentiality statute. Again, I would like to emphasize that all the records of certification and decertification were never intended by the ASB to be kept confidential. All assessors need to be accountable to the taxpayers and municipalities they work for. The charge of the ASB is to have our system for property tax assessment be transparent and open. Please vote ought to pass on Senate Bill 53, and thank you for the opportunity to testify this morning.
There is no amendment. The amendment was done in the Senate. Thank you, Ms. Patton. Are there any questions from the committee? Representative Schuett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions. I just wanted to say hi to an old friend. Thank you.
Good morning, Representative.
Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair of the ASB. I just wanted to bring to the committee's attention that Senator Gray is a member of the Assessing Standard Board and a very active participant on the board. So he is fulfilling his responsibility as a member of the Assessing Standard Board, as I am, to also to monitor developments in the board. And I wanted to just give Representative Patton an opportunity to emphasize Senator Gray's very active involvement with the Assessing Centers Board.
Thank you.
M-
Any
Ma-
other que- are there any
Madam
questions?
Chair,
Yes.
if you, the answer to the question you asked of Grant is that this will make the certification records and decertification records open almost immediately after it's passed through both, instead of having to wait until the OPLC is up and running. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, yes, Representative Sytek.
Question of the chair, question of the chair, perhaps. This was originally Senator Waters' bill, but Senator Gray is standing behind it, and I don't see his name under the sponsors. How is
Yes,
that?
Representative Sytek, that's because of the non-germane amendment. The sponsors on a bill never change, no matter what you do to the bill. And so I got the impression that this was a bill that they killed.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, so. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Patton. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on Senate Bill 53? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to close the hearing. Representative Schmidt, do you have a motion?
If we're going into executive session, Madam Chair, I would absolutely take the opportunity to recommend how Senate Bill 53 ought to pass.
Is there a second? Okay, Schmidt, and I think Rhodes was first. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Just to emphasize the point that Chairman Patton did inform us about, and that is that Senate Bill 155, House Bill 1552, that this committee heard, and during the course of that bill, it was referenced that the Assessing Standards Board, as I say, on which I serve and have for about the past 16 years, one of the reasons that bill was brought, and one of the reasons that Senator Gray has brought this bill is because it was never the intention of the Assessing Standards Board or the assessor community that the certification and decertification information was going to be withheld from the public. It was always the intention that that record, those records should be open to the public. And the fact that the DRA oversees, under current arrangements, oversees the assessor community, winds up because they are a very confidential entity and have a requirement to maintain confidentiality of their records. They are doing the same thing to assessors and assessing officials' records, namely withholding them from the public. And the purpose of this bill is to undo that and make that information available to the public. So I fully endorse the bill and hope that all of you will support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Rhodes, do you wish to speak to your second?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Schmidt covered it.
Okay. Is there any Representative Goley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only concern I have is in passing this, we took a stance on moving the Assessing Standards Board into OPLC for the reason of transparency. And if we pass this today, my concern is it gives the Senate a reason to vote down a position that we have taken, moving them to OPLC, because we've taken care of the confidentiality portion of it. That's the only concern I see about doing this right now and moving it along.
Okay, that's a reasonable point to make. Representative Blackus.
Thank you. Yeah, I understand that concern. I think there was another reason, which was concern about the appearance of a conflict. So it's not the only reason, but you're right, it could be an issue.
Yeah. Well, I like that this would release from their confidentiality rules not only actions going forward, but actions in the past. And I think that we would want to have those open to the public regardless of where the board is located. But, yeah, I see your point. Representative Schmidt.
I think that the point is very germane, but the 1552 is not just about the availability of the records. The question is whether the certification and decertification process will be under the authority and the oversight of the DRA. The DRA will continue to monitor and serve as a oversight board with regard to the totality of assessment. The thing that 1552 does, it takes the certification and decertification process and the records that this bill speaks to. It takes the decertification and certification process away from the DRA, because that confidentiality aspect is something that the Assessing Standard Board and the assessor community never intended and do not wish to have at this time. The totality of the thing still stays under DRA. It's the decertification and certification process that will be removed by 1552. So even though Representative Goley's point is germane, because it does not address the totality, this bill doesn't. It only does the records. This is just about the availability to the public of the assessor records regarding their certification and decertification. That's why it's more specific, and this bill is still needed. So it's a point to be raised, but the argument against it is that this is only the record part in Senate Bill 53. Thank you.
The Senate has heard House Bill 1552, but they have not yet voted on it. I know they're considering an amendment. So what's the feeling of the committee? Do you wish to proceed with this, or should we wait until the Senate has moved on 1552? Okay.
Yeah.
Representative Goley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess the one point I will make is if they do amend it, it will have to come back to us for approval, and if it's not to our liking, we can move forward.
Okay. Good point. All right. In that case, we'll proceed. Is there any further discussion on the ought to pass motion? Okay, seeing none, the motion is ought to pass on Senate Bill 53, and the clerk can call the roll.
Representative Rhodes.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Yakubovich.
Yes.
Representative Lekis.
Yes.
Representative Allegro.
Yes.
Representative Bailey.
Yes.
Representative Lanzara.
Yes.
Representative Santonastasso.
Yes.
Representative Goley.
Yes.
Representative Short.
Yes.
Representative Judy.
Oui, monsieur.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Marsh.
Yes.
Representative Fellows.
Yes.
Representative Fontenot.
Yes.
Representative Grote.
Yes.
Representative Chair.
Yes.
17-0.
Okay. The motion passes 17-0. Is there any objection to consent? All right, seeing none, we'll put that on consent. Representative Schmidt, at your earliest convenience.
Happy to oblige.
Well, we have 15 minutes before the next hearing, so.
Thank you, committee. We really appreciate your time
Okay.
and your vote. Thank you.
Especially the vote.
Well, while we have a few minutes, is there anyone who has another bill that they think is ready for exec? I know a number of them are in subcommittee. All right, I guess not. Take a break. We'll resume it at 10:30.
Maybe I'll take this minute to remind Representative Judy Fontenot, O'Brien's not here, you and I, that we have a 10:30 Wednesday appointment for land surveyors.
Okay. All right. Now being 10:30, I'm opening the hearing on Senate Bill 220, and I call Senator Sherman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's great to be back with eDNA. And for the record, I'm Senator Tom Sherman, District 24, representing 11 towns on the seacoast of New Hampshire. And SB 220 came out of a series of discussions with people in the field of psychology, psychotherapy, psychiatry, and also the director of OPLC, Lindsay Courtney, who can't be here today, but I think she has someone who is coming to testify. At least that's what I was told. SB 220 reflects the concern that one of the speed bumps to workforce development in the state of New Hampshire is that the licensing boards, there are multiple that deal with mental health licensing, and they can represent a significant speed bump. Just one example is that if your license lapses because you didn't receive notice or there's a problem, you have to start the whole process over again in one of the boards. Another board requires that if you've been in practice for 35 years in Massachusetts and you come to New Hampshire, they want a letter from the person who trained you, and that person may well be dead. So that's problematic. So these are the kind of issues. Oh, and one other point is that other boards function really well. Like in psychiatry, it's the Board of Medicine, which is similar to the Board of Nursing. They move along fairly quickly. The turnaround time is reasonable, having been through the Board of Medicine myself. And you can have a reasonable expectation of adjudication of your licensure application, whereas some of the others, it really seems to represent more of a hurdle rather than something just to ensure the safety of your practice. So we are all aware of the critical shortage of licensed mental health professionals in the state, and this pressure has only been exacerbated by COVID. They're in the medical profession. We're looking at a 20% retirement rate over the next 2 years nationally. So these challenges are not going to get better, and we want to make sure the process of licensure isn't one of the impediments to having an adequate workforce. So the bill creates a study committee to look at ways to address these issues by, number one, reviewing the licensure criteria for mental health professionals regulated by the Board of Licensing for Alcohol and Other Drug Use Counselors, the Board of Medicine, Board of Mental Health Practice, Board of Nursing, Board of Psychologists, including how such criteria relates to requirements in neighboring states. Reviewing the licensure processes of the Office of the OPLC as it relates to mental health professionals, including how the statutory and regulatory framework may impact timely and efficient licensure of qualified applicants. Identifying and making recommendations for joining available licensure compacts regarding mental health professionals, which both decreases the cost to the applicant as well as the cost to the process of licensing. Exploring licensure barriers to attracting qualified mental health professionals to New Hampshire, and making recommendations, if necessary, for changes to the licensure regarding the Board of Licensing for Alcohol and Other Drug Use Counselors and all of the other boards that I've already listed. I worked with OPLC very closely on crafting the language of the bill, and if there are specific OPLC questions, hopefully they will be here to answer those. But I would also refer you to the committee report from the Senate, since this did not change from as introduced. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Senator. Are there questions? Representative Saitek.
Senator Sherman, you talked very fast, so let me make sure.
I'm sorry.
That I'm very slow of hearing. This is administrative intent, is it not? You're not going to water down any of the
Absolutely.
parts.
So the goal is to keep the high level of quality of providers in the state, but right now, some of the boards appear to have processes that may block qualified individuals from coming to New Hampshire.
Yes, we have heard that before. Are there any other questions for Senator Representative Fellows?
Thank you. I'm just wondering about terminology. I hear on the radio like ads for you can get a therapist to help you using telemedicine, and this company says that they have 17,000 of them available. Are therapists the same as counselors, or would they be covered by this?
Well, I think the consumer has to be very careful, or patients need to be very careful to make sure they check the credentials of the person with whom they are being counseled. There are all sorts of different degrees that qualify you. There's bachelor's, master's, there's a master's in public health in counseling. There's a master's in counseling, which my mom had, and she did counseling most of her second part of her career. So all of these qualify you for some level of licensure. And then there are others who may provide pastoral counseling. So it might be somebody, and I'm not sure that's licensed through any of these boards,
It's
but that's
licensed through
also,
the Board of Mental Health Practice.
is it? Okay, thank you. So there are lots of different degrees and qualifications, and I'm glad to hear that from the chair, because all of the, competency is really important, because you can do more harm than good if you are not competent in this field.
But it's
Follow-up?
the intent that you're going to look at all of that, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you.
Mr. Porter?
Good morning, Madam Chair and honorable committee members. Director Courtney had a scheduling conflict this morning, so I am here. I did drop off a letter expressing OPLC support, and I don't want to rehash everything Senator Sherman just said, but we agree that this is really an attempt to remove barriers to address the workforce shortages. And Director Courtney did spell out and provide you with some percentages of increase in licensure that happened in the letter here. OPLC does agree that these changes need to be made. However, it's not clear exactly what changes need to be made, and we do believe a study committee would help address that. We are looking to other states. We're always looking for ways to increase the ability, portability, and so forth, without reducing the quality, and I think that's important. So I'll try to answer any questions. If not, I can bring them back to Director Courtney, and she can respond back to you.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions? Representative Schmidt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm wondering, because this issue, as the colloquy up to this point has shown, has been something that this committee has been working with for a long time. These issues, and sometimes kind of some nastiness among some of the professions, especially psychologists. At one time were a member of the Board of Health, Mental Health Practice. Now they have their own board. So one of the questions I have is of the chair, do we have time to have this go to a subcommittee for any dialogue at all? Or
Representative Schmidt, all our Senate bills have to be voted out of committee by next week.
That's what I thought the implication of that deadline was. Of course, it is a study committee, and so I'm going to be supportive. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? No, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Porter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on Senate Bill 220? Sir, please introduce yourself, and when you're done, make out a pink card.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is John DeJoy. I represent the National Association of Social Workers, the New Hampshire chapter, as well as the New Hampshire Psychological Association. I don't have a tremendous amount to add, so I'll be brief. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I do want to point out that social workers are part of the Board of Mental Health Practice. Psychologists do, in fact, have their own board. Want to make sure the committee recalls that psychologists have their own National Interstate Compact, SIPACT, that it's expanding. I believe it's up over 26, closer to 30 states now who either are part of SIPACT or actively legislating to become part of SIPACT. That helps with the portability that we're just hearing about in terms of licensure. Mental health counselors, who I do not represent, but they have a bill that just went through this committee looking for a compact for mental health counselors, and social workers will be looking for a similar compact bill, all intended to assist with the portability of licensure from state to state. With that, if there are questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are you in favor or opposed to the bill?
In terms of the committee, we will monitor the committee and participate in any way that we can, testify as the opportunities arise. Committees in a second year are often difficult. They're difficult to staff, they're difficult to meet, but I think the content of the bill is very important to understand the workforce shortage, to understand, and I will point out there are a significant number of issues, many of which belong in commerce, not even in ED&A. The issues about parity, the issues about compensation of parity. So it may be that there's a need for this committee and Commerce to work more closely on this broader issue to try to really understand the issues that are getting in the way of folks having access to needed mental health care. And I realize that's not really an answer. I apologize.
Yes, thank you. We noticed that too. Representative Fellows?
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on whether the shortage of workers in this area might have anything to do with educational programs for them not being that available?
Thank you very much for the question. Advanced training for mental health practitioners is widely available. I actually teach at the University of New Hampshire. We have an online program. We have an executive program for the MSW that operates in Manchester, and we have a face-to-face cohort in Durham. We graduate nearly 200 new MSWs every year. University of New England, I believe it's in southern Maine, has a similar program. There are a large number of programs, and the online environment that really exploded during COVID has allowed universities across the country to provide education anywhere in the country, and a lot of students are taking advantage of that. There are other structural issues that are getting in the way, and as I said, many of those issues belong in the domain of commerce. But many practitioners, many students that I'm aware of leave the state.
Thank you. Other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, Mr. DeJoy. Does anyone else wish to testify on Senate Bill 220? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the hearing. Yes, Representative Fellows. Mike?
Do you think the committee might be interested in a motion on this bill we just heard?
Yes.
I make a motion of ought to pass SB 220.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, ought to pass by Representative Fellows, seconded by Representative Marsh. Do you wish to speak to your motion, Representative Fellows?
Yes, this is a study committee. It's not changing any legislation, but it certainly seems to be an important issue. And one of the things I like about this study bill is that it's comprehensive and it's not addressing just like a little piece of the issues we think we have with licensing. It's comprehensive. It's dealing with a large group. And I think that something useful recommendations might come from this study committee.
Thank you. Representative Marsh?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll point out that I'm one of the co-sponsors of this bill.
Yes.
And the reason that I did so is that we are aware that New Hampshire has a desperate shortage of mental health providers at this point in time. As we just heard, a number of students that are trained in this state are leaving in this state, and many of those reasons may very well be structural based on the way they're licensed in this state. And if we can easily address those issues, we really ought to do so. That would be far and away the least expensive way of addressing this problem. So thank you for that.
All right. Anyone else? Representative Blackus?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not opposed to this. I'm willing to vote for it. My only concern is, and the one that was expressed here, as a practical matter, given probable complexity of this, is the committee going to be able to actually come up with something useful in the time allowed between when it's, this actually becomes law and when, when the report's due, which is November the 1st.
Thank you. Representative Rhodes?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm not necessarily opposed to what they're looking to study in Senate Bill 220. My concern is what I've heard repeatedly from multiple committees is that is a study committee in the second year. And I was under the understanding the impression that it really is frowned upon for many reasons. So I'm not really sure if this wouldn't necessarily be better to come back whenever it actually can have the study of the committee that it needs. So I'm not really sure how to handle the conundrum that it seems to present.
Anyone? Okay, I'd like to say that the scope of this is almost entirely within ED&A, and we could, should we wish to, study it without having a formal study committee, if that were the choice of the committee. We don't need to pass this bill to get as I said, a formal study committee with a senator in order to look at these issues, because we've heard a large number of these comments and concerns from other people. I mean, Representative Fellows.
Madam Chair, I think that we need more than just the people from ED&A to look at this. I think we need people from the medical profession to deal with this. And I think that with a study committee, I think that we can come up with, one senator and 3 representatives that have a background in this, they're doctors, or they have a background in social work or whatever, that would be in a better position to make recommendations for this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Representative Saitek?
Even if this, even if we cannot act on the results of this committee, I'm thinking about Senator Carson, who was in last week talking about a bill. I don't remember. I have to look it up. Saying this is a result of a study committee of years in the past. So this, I would regard this as a first step, even if it doesn't actually achieve orbit. So we got to start somewhere.
Any other comments, concerns? Representative Schmidt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I agree with my colleagues that it is late in the game, but the bottom line is that the old saying about is better than light one candle and curse the darkness. I think that as much as I have a lot of respect for this committee's overall collective intelligence, experience, and so forth, putting it all on us, especially when there was testimony saying that former Representative DeJoy, maybe most members of the committee are not aware of it, but Mr. DeJoy is the Honorable John DeJoy, who was in the House for a number of terms back in my early days. And he talked about commerce also might have been a committee that this bill could have gone before. To the degree that we put all the burden on ED&A, in our collective wisdom, but our collective wisdom is not so strong in commerce and some other aspects that this study committee would be dealing with. So I think that I will vote for it too, because I think that we absolutely have to try to get something accomplished. There are all kinds of people. The first time you see him out on the mound or at bat, you're going like, this guy's never going to make it in the major leagues. And a couple of years later, he's at least a journeyman. So nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Representative Saitek.
Since we have a moment, Representative Schmidt, there's a better old saying than light a candle with respect to this bill, and it is what James Carville said. The best time to plant an oak tree is 10 years ago. The next best time is now.
Okay.
How about the village blacksmith?
Yeah, Representative Lekis, you had a comment? No? Representative Allegro.
Thank you. I just want to express practical concern for the number of bills coming through proposing study committees and our ability to actually enact them in a fair manner. And that's all I need.
Okay. Absolutely. Anyone else? Yes, Representative Schuett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With reference to mentioning the other committees that could likely be involved in this, I would hope if this is adopted that our statement of intent would include the possibility of those other members from those other committees taking part. Thank you.
As at the moment, it specifies ED&A and Health and Human Services. Okay. Anyone else? All right. The motion is ought to pass by Representative Fellows. The clerk can call the roll.
Representative Rhodes.
No.
The clerk votes yes. Representative Yakubovich.
Yes.
Representative Lekis.
Yes.
Representative Allegro.
No.
Representative Bailey.
Yes.
Representative Lanzara.
Yes.
Representative Santonastaso.
No.
Representative Goley.
Yes.
Representative Schuett.
Yes.
Representative Judy.
Oui, monsieur.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Marsh.
Yes.
Representative Fellows.
Yes.
Representative Fontenot.
Yes.
Representative Grote.
Yes.
And the chair. A little louder.
No.
Okay, so that's up to 13-4.
That sounds about right. Okay, the motion passes 13-4. Does anyone care to write a minority report?
Sure, I'll write it.
Okay.
That is,
It wasn't going to go on consent. Representative Santonastaso will
Okay.
write a minority report. And I'll just mention that it might be useful, but I continuing and not voting for any study committee that I wouldn't want to serve on. right, Representative Fellows, at your very earliest convenience. And you also represent Senator
There-
Mestasso.
Is it going on consent?
No, with a minority report?
Um,
With 4 votes against, it's
Uh,
probably too much. for-
Representative Santo Nestaso, your motion is going to be ITL.
yes, ITL.
All right.
Can't see your way clear to interim study.
We could study it anyway. We could say the topic. We don't need a study on this bill. That's the,
The study committee and study committees.
oh, God. Okay. All right, that's that one.
That's plus is 11:15.
11:15, and I'm a sponsor there, so you take over.
What's off? Did I leave this on? Yeah.
Good morning. I will open the House hearing for Senate Bill 221 relative to the internal organization of Department of Corrections. Senator Reagan.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of Executive Departments and Administration Committee. This is my original committee 16 years ago. I bring to you today Senate Bill 221, and it is relative to the internal organization of the Department of Corrections. And I brought with me the Commissioner of Corrections, and she'll answer all your questions, including Representative Schmidt's question.
Well played, Senator. Are there any non-questions for Senator? Thank you very much. Representative McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Carol McGuire, Merrimack District 29, and I believe my senator said most everything that's necessary. But I do want to add that there is no fiscal note to this. This simply retitles the positions, and if the JCEC needs to review them, they can do so once the new titles have been established. There's not expecting any cost effect from this change. And I will try to answer any other questions.
Representative Lekis.
Thank you. So the only question is, other than changing titles, to what does it really reorganize the organization of the department? I mean, what kind of changes are?
I don't believe so, but you'd have to ask the commissioner for details.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions for Representative McGuire? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Ms. Hanks?
Good morning, Madam Chair and honorable members of the committee. It is a pleasure to be able to answer questions for you associated with Senate Bill 221. And I thank Senator Regan and House Rep. McGuire and others for sponsoring this bill. The goal was to align the names of two specific division directors that already exist, unclassified and funded. One change was to take the Director of Security and Training and change that name to the Director of Personnel and Information. If you're not aware, the Department of Corrections has a line of effort of significant need associated with staffing, employee development, and training for us to meet our mission. And it seemed odd that we did not have a division director that oversaw our Human Resource Bureau, our Training Bureau, and those lines of effort. So it takes those and puts it under the current position referred to in statute, Director of Security and Training, but asks to rename that to the Director of Personnel and Information. The other area we adjusted is currently referred to as the Director of Community Corrections. In every other state, the Director of Community Corrections actually oversees their field services supervision effort. Our Director of Community Corrections actually oversees the rehabilitative programming across all locations in the agency. So you'll see we're asking to change that to the Director of Rehabilitation Services. We did change some semantics underneath that to recognize that that line of effort under the Director of Rehabilitative Services should be working to reduce recidivism. We shouldn't be working to increase recidivism and target reentry and programmatic initiatives that do just that. The organizational adjustment is we moved and proposing to move the Bureau of Victim Services under our existing Director of Field Services to better align the effort of restitution collection so that we're making victims financially whole through the process. And those are the major changes that we're asking for within this bill.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Commissioner? Representative Goley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for coming and taking questions. As I look at this and what's currently in statute and what's here in front of us, these positions in this bill all say that they are going to unclassified. Are they classified now or unclassified positions that we are talking about?
Thank you for that question. They're all unclassified and would request that they remain unclassified.
Oh, follow-up?
I guess my question is, why does it have to specifically say in legislation when it doesn't now in statute say that they are unclassified, that we're putting it in statute that they say unclassified positions?
It's my understanding the way the statute's written, because I have to nominate and recommend to the governor and the governor and executive council that they're unclassified. We're just using the term specifically to reiterate that.
Are there any further questions for the commissioner? Oh, Representative Schmidt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome, Commissioner. Long time no see, but not happy to when you're away too long, because your field, your corrections department is one of the ones that is has one of the toughest rows to hoe, so to speak, and I think a dialogue between this committee and your department is an important one. So I'm glad we're going to have an opportunity to see you today and ask some questions. And this appears to be a pretty thorough reorganization of the Department of Corrections. And I'm wondering, is this something that is a result of an outside analysis, or this is homegrown? And that would be my first question.
Thank you for that question, Representative Schmidt. It's a combination of both. It's an analysis now that I've been in the position of commissioner for the last 4 years, and also my ability to participate under the Correctional Leaders Association, which is an association of all commissioners across the United States, learning from those encounters with them, as well as our own needs within the department.
Mm-hmm. Follow-up.
Follow-up?
So Representative Goldie already asked along these lines, but to the degree that you're changing names and it's just a name change, that's not inappropriate, and we wouldn't have any reason to object to that. But to the degree that you're changing functions, which you clearly are, in response to Representative Goldie's question, you got into some of the changes, which are change in function as well as the name. So is this the end of it, or is this the beginning of the process?
At this point, this is what I'm prepared to put forward and ask for. I'm in a constant analysis of the agency, and it would be premature for me to respond to that question at this time. I'm not prepared to even ask for another particular bill this session.
One more. As a member of the JCEC, I'm obviously interested in whenever we have reorganizations, which of course the executive branch is entitled to do. That's part of their function. Can we expect to see this on our agenda at JCEC anytime soon?
Representative Schmidt, if this is passed and is signed off, I will certainly, having facilitated things through the JCEC, if that's appropriate and where it needs to go next, I will take it down that path as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Fellows?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see that one of the new divisions you're putting together is personnel and information. And underneath that, the functions are personnel management and recruitment. I understand that. Employment training, internal and external communication, and technology. So I'm confused as to why you would put those things together. I don't really see any connection between IT and internal and external communications, or between personnel management and internal and external communications or business technology. So can you please explain why you put those together?
Thank you, Representative Fellows. Happy to do that. Both our external internet page and we have an intranet page are highly used both to push public information out about what we what we actually do in corrections. We are certainly not a reality TV show, and we actually have people who really do think that, what is it, pink is the new black, or whatever those things are. And so it's important that our information technology bureau is part of our communications side and line of effort. So we communicate both to the loved ones and attorneys and all of those other constituents that are looking for information, that the right information gets out. And so there's an alliance between our information technology and our communications effort, as well as our employees. For example, Police Standards and Training Council adjusted their software platform that manages law enforcement certification to a product called Benchmark. So our training line of effort, we need to be able to pass that information seamlessly to Police Standards and Training. We have over 400 certified law enforcement members within the agency. So combining our communications, both written and published through information technology, as well as our employee training and employee development, which we will and do use online modalities of software, is important that they're all working in cohesion to help advance our employees.
Follow up?
Yeah, can you tell me the process that you used to develop this reorganization?
Certainly. So in working both with my partners in ability with the Correctional Leaders Association and reviewing other states' organizational charts and asking other commissioners what's worked, what hasn't worked, this is what we're experiencing, and doing that for the last several years, as well as doing exit interviews with our employees that are choosing to leave, not retiring, and asking them what could we have done better. Many things were centered around employee development, training, and trying to get a pathway to do that. As you can imagine, our overtime budget is significant, and sometimes computer technology is our fastest pathway to communicate with our employees and push information and training out. So some of it is studying and understanding how other agencies have done it, what their successes have been, as well as, should I stop? As well as looking within the agency and asking the employees that we've lost, what could we have done better? And that's informed these next steps.
Follow up?
Yes, just to follow up on when you're talking about training and development. So I'm thinking that every state agency has at least a budget line for training, which usually is used to give personnel training that they can use to move up in the organization. I'm thinking that corrections is pretty different from most agencies, and I would be thinking that, correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of your training goes to training the people once you hire them to do their job. So I'm just wondering about that distinction, and you're just putting the training here. So what does that mean?
Certainly, Representative Fellows. By having a division director of personnel and information and dealing with both, I'll call it onboarding and training, the basics of what you need to navigate, and the numbers of disciplines it takes to actually run a corrections environment, whether it's nursing, social workers, corrections officers, teachers, case managers, the diversity of that employee development and ongoing training. So where do they want to go within the agency, and how do we help them find a path there, employee development and leadership training because of our rank and file. Having an officer could go all the way up to be the chief of security. That all of those embedded together in this division, we're investing in our personnel, we're investing in our employee development, and we're investing in what I would call ongoing and natural training. And that's what we're proposing through that division.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate your service to the state.
Are there any other members of the public that are here that wish to testify? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing for Senate Bill 221.
This, on Senate Bill 221, does someone have a motion? Representative Rhodes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll like to make a motion of ought to pass for Senate Bill 221.
I'll second. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will yield to you, let you speak.
Thank you. I already said what I had to say. This is obviously a request of the Department of Corrections. It appears to be well within their scope of business, and I support them choosing the names that they think most appropriately fit their business. Is there anyone else wish to speak? Representative Sytek.
I don't know that this matters because I did not compare it to the original H, 21H, whatever it was. But the word resident is used in lines 25 and 30 on page 2, and they're not defined. And is that going to be any practical problem? I just
Commissioner, it looks like you have an answer to that question.
Question, because in looking at the statutes, looking at many of the statutes range from stating convicts, offender, inmate, person under departmental control. I think the nature of where this language resides in the internal organization recognizes we're talking about people who are under the responsibility of the department. There's numerous references to people who are charged within our mission.
Well, if you don't have a problem, I don't have a problem, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, concerns? All right. Yes, Representative Fellows.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can understand certain portions of this, and it makes sense, and that there should be some reorganization. I just, and I guess I'm willing to give them a try at this. Some of it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, like why IT isn't under like the administrative business operations, and why external communications just doesn't seem to be, in my opinion, doesn't belong with personnel. But if that's how they want to
The only
put
thing
it
I can
together.
say is that the Department of Corrections has, for a long time, been very tightly staffed, and people are doing a lot of different things. And if this is the way they choose to do it, like I'm willing to give them a chance at it. Follow up?
Yeah, just I have something the rest of you are not looking at, but I believe that there is not. Is it true that there's not currently a person in the position of director of over the personnel operation?
Commissioner, that's a factual question. You should have the answer for it.
Thank you. Fellows, that there is a person in the position of Director of Security and Training as it's statutorily referred to right now. All of our unclassified positions are filled. If this passes, that person's title would change to Director of Personnel and Information.
And is personnel in part of that division?
Yes, we're functioning under the statutory authority of the Commissioner to other duties as assigned, and functioning quite well since we've done that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Sytek.
This sure sounds like an echo of what we've just gone through with the Health and Human Services, where it's tightly staffed. They took advantage of openings, moved people around, and we had to have Charlie Arlinghouse come in and straighten out the whole shebang for us. So it's not the least bit surprising that this is going on.
Okay. Anyone else? Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you stated it extremely well in your opening remarks. And I think one of the key factors that we should take into consideration is what the Commissioner herself said in her testimony, which is that that she has now been Commissioner for 4 years. So she was with the department before, but it's only been under her leadership for 4 years. So she's had the time to to work with these positions, these individuals, and with these titles as well. And to the degree that now she has the authority to do so, she believes that the terminology needs to be changed. I think we should let her do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. The motion is ought to pass by Representative Rhodes. The clerk can call the roll.
Representative Rhodes.
Yes.
The clerk votes yes. Representative Yakubovich.
Yes.
Representative Lekis.
Yes.
Representative Allegro.
Yes.
Representative Bailey.
Yes.
Representative Lanzara.
Yes.
Representative Santanastaso.
Yes.
Representative Goley.
Yes.
Representative Schuett.
Yes.
Representative Judy.
Oui, monsieur.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Marsh.
Yes.
Representative Fellows.
Yes.
Representative Huntno.
Yes.
Representative Grote.
Yes.
The chair.
Yes.
17-0.
All right. The motion passes 17-0. Is there any objection to consent? Seeing none, we'll put it on consent. Representative Rhodes, at your very earliest convenience. Excellent. All right. We have two bills at 1 o'clock, and so you're off for lunch. Unless somebody has anything else we could profitably do.
Can we exec these two?
We did. Okay. See you at 1 o'clock.
Can we exec them right now?
We probably could.
Look, I'm not opposed to that stuff, but why? Can you just?
Bother us with the bill.
That's what I'm talking about.
I agree.
Do you mind if I make a protest?
Not at all.
I don't know what to do with crap like that. Like the
Okay, welcome back. I'm opening the hearing on Senate Bill 218, and I call Senator Perkins Coker.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, sorry. Thank you. Good morning. For the record, I am Senator Rebecca Perkins Quilka, representing Senate District 21, which is the city of Portsmouth and the towns of Madbury, Lee, Durham, Newmarket, Newington, and Newfields. I'm the prime sponsor of SB 218, an act declaring October 13th as Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day. SB 218 is a refile of a bill that we passed in the Senate last year through Senate ED&A, and is the request of a Portsmouth resident. Laura Inahara founded the More Fight More Strong movement after losing her dear friend Jessica Moore, and seeks to build awareness about metastatic breast cancer and its important differences from other forms of cancer. Metastatic breast cancer is devastatingly deadly, with over 100 Americans dying from it every single day. While 98% of breast cancer deaths come from metastatic breast cancer, only 5% of breast cancer research dollars are devoted to metastatic breast cancer. SB 218 will help bring light to this disparity and increase awareness of the grim reality facing many of our constituents. Madam Chair, I will leave it at that, and I am more than happy to try to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Representative Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for taking my question. I'm going to beat my friend Representative Pearson to the punch whenever I ask if anybody has approached the governor about what is the exact word I'm looking for? About recognition instead of having an annual day.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, Representative. So Governor Sununu did declare October 13th of 2021 Metastatic Breast Cancer Day. So this would just be a bill to have October 13th of every year be recognized as such.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, Representative Sytek.
You, Senator, you said of every year. Hasn't the Senate sent us bills like this where they amend it to be just that 1 year?
Has the Senate done
Yeah,
that in the
that's
past?
what
Not
we-
on this topic.
Okay, that's what I'm used to seeing. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Representative.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify on Senate Bill 218?
No, but I have a question, Madam Chair.
Yes,
Do,
Representative.
do we, I guess it's to you, right? Because no one's in the hot seat. Is there a National Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day? Is this,
Let me Google.
yeah.
Not
just
that
curious.
I know of. Okay, if there is no one who wishes to testify, I'll close the public hearing. All right. To confirm, today is Monday. And I'm going to open the hearing on Senate Bill 219, which this is also Senator Perkins Coker. So if you'd care to address us on this bill.
Yes, thank you, everyone. For the record again, Senator Perkins Coker, representing District 21, City of Portsmouth, and surrounding towns. I'm the prime sponsor of SB 219, an act declaring the month of September as Kinship Care Awareness Month. SB 219 is a request of Portsmouth resident Denise Richer. Denise is the founder of Step Up Parents, a local organization designed to provide emotional, practical, and financial assistance to relative caregivers who have assumed childcare responsibilities due to substance abuse disorder problems for the biological parents. We have all heard the heart-wrenching stories of children affected by the consequences of substance use disorders, as well as the uplifting stories of relative caregivers who take on the burdens of that situation and provide the child with care, attention, and love. Kinship Care Awareness Month will help recognize those who are taking the extraordinary challenges of childcare on in such difficult circumstances. Madam Chair, I will leave it at that, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator, we see a lot of these, right? And some of them have fun things involved with them in reference to celebratory gunfire or things of that nature. This particular 219 doesn't seem to ask anybody to do anything other than, I mean, like there's no, I call it a call to action or something along those lines. So I'm just wondering what you envision that if this was to become law in September, became this and 37 other things that are September, what would this look like?
Sure. I think that it's an opportunity for organizations such as Step Up to know that there's a month where there's sort of heightened awareness of this challenge as it exists in our communities, to do, some fundraising to sustain these organizations and to hold events, sometimes featuring, local elected officials to make sure that there's sort of a spotlight on this issue at one time per year.
Other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on Senate Bill 219? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. And does anyone have a motion? Representative Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, I think I'm going to do Senate Bill 28. I'm sorry, that's a lie. I actually would like to make a motion of inexpedient to legislate for Senate Bill 219.
Is there a second? Second by Representative Lekes. 219, yes. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, Madam Chairman. So when I'm not in Concord, I actually work up at the school district in my town, and I do recognize the challenges and the heartbreak that a lot of children go through, especially with all of the different struggles that a lot of their parents have. However, I still go back to our I feel like it's the same paragraph that we say over and over in the committee, which is I think that if there was a group of people that organized and got themselves together annually, and they were to approach the governor and ask for an awareness day. I recognize that this is a month, but nonetheless, I think it still is going to be the same effect. And I think that if you have this group of people that collaborate together, that there would actually be a lot more awareness brought to this particular subject. And I think that they would actually probably get more news coverage and get a lot more community involvement that way, because they can actually have the day be what they want the day to be with how they organize it.
Representative Lekes?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Maybe they could get together, even organize people to volunteer to help give people providing that kind of care a break. I mean, I'm familiar with this. We had our oldest granddaughter living with us through high school because her mother was having difficulties at the time. So it's not that I don't care about this, but I think that there's much more effective ways of raising awareness. I don't think this would, because I think the governor staff just gives them something to sign on the right day. They do a press release. And unless there are people out in the community doing something more to raise awareness, that's where it ends. And so I just don't think this sort of thing's effective. It's not that I'm not sympathetic to the constituents' interest in this.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Representative Sajak?
Senator has brought to us two important issues. I'm not a fan of any of these kinds of memorials because I don't think they have much meaning. On the other hand, these are important, and I would like to ask whether sort of hinting what I hinted at during her testimony earlier, is there any appetite to get an amendment to make these for this year and go forward with them on this 1 year basis and see what the next year brings? But I don't think I want to enshrine it permanently. So I'm asking the committee, I guess, if that would, how people might feel about that. Because I'd be willing to, I'd certainly vote for that, for a 1 year, month or day, so.
All right. Any comments? Representative Rhodes.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chairman. One of the things that I actually just wanted to bring up when I was taking our small lunch break, I just happened to turn to the right page of the 2017 laws in the book to see that last week was actually, last Monday was actually John Stark Day. I didn't know that. I feel like if that was brought as an individual day, I think there would have been a lot more coverage and we all probably would have known.
Okay, Representative Broda and then Sytek.
I wanted to offer to Representative Sytek an understanding of what he said, and if he wants to work with me on these, I will help with that.
Okay, Representative Sytek.
Well, I'll accept your offer. We can adopt it. We can draft the amendments. I don't know what the rest of these guys will do, but
That's what we can do. We can draft the amendments.
Okay, but let me continue. John Stark has been dead for an awful long time, and there are not a lot of relatives that are going to be beating the drum for him. These are contemporary issues, and by giving them recognizing the day or the month this year, we give some additional impetus for anything that local communities or local organizations may want to do. It just provides a nice background for any efforts that they might want to do. So let's leave John Stark in memory. Thank you.
Representative Blackus.
Thank you. I mean, without having any statute this year, they were able to get a proclamation, and there may have been other activities that I'm not aware of. And that could happen again this year, next year. I really don't see doing this sort of thing as adding much. It's really kind of a grassroots or the community doing something and making things visible, and then maybe not just commemorating it, but doing something to help the people in those situations as well. I would be maybe less opposed to having it be 1 day than something that's in statute that would be there automatic and generally ignored after a certain amount of time, I believe. But I'm not, I wouldn't, I'd rather not have even the 1 day one.
Okay. Representative Allegra.
I just don't see this as the purview of the legislature. I think it's a much richer effort anyway when it just comes from the citizenship. And I always remind myself that we have 65,000 pages of laws, of RSAs, and adding another for these kinds of events, I don't think is our job, and especially adding one for just one time. So that's all I need to add. Thank you.
Anyone else? Representative Sytek.
Yeah, Representative Allegra, this would be likely to be chapter laws, so it's not going to swell the books for very long. And we'll let them struggle with it next year, so.
I would like to address that, please.
Please.
Chapter law or otherwise, I just don't think that this should be done by law of any sort. This should be done by local organizations and citizens. But what's that?
You're close to convincing me.
I'll buy you a beer afterwards.
Okay. Anyone else? Comments, questions, issues? All right. The motion is inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 219, and the clerk can call the roll.
Well, I'm going to vote against Or get an amendment, can't amend.
Yes,
it,
if this motion fails, we will consider an amendment.
Excuse me, caught me with my pants down here. Okay. Okay, the motion is ITL on 219. Okay. Representative Rhodes,
No, I'm sorry. Yes. They can go in that.
the clerk votes for his amendment, yes. No. Representative Pearson,
No, I want to see an amendment.
Representative Yakubovich. Oh, he's not
He's not here.
Oh.
He stepped out.
Representative Lekis,
Yes.
Representative Allegro,
Yes.
Representative Bailey,
Yes.
Representative Lanzara,
No.
Representative Santo Nastasa,
Yes.
Representative Goli,
Yes.
Representative Schuett,
Yes.
Representative Judy,
Oui, cher honorable.
Representative Schmidt,
Yes.
Representative Marsh,
No.
Representative Fellows,
No.
Representative Grota,
No.
Representative O'Brien,
Yes.
the chair.
Yes.
$11 to 6. That's too bad.
The motion passes 11 to 6. Are you going to write a minority report, Representative Sitek? Or Representative
No,
Grota?
no,
Okay, no minority report. I don't think that should be on consent. So we'll put that on the regular calendar.
What's wrong with you?
Okay. Any other motion?
Make a
Re-
motion on Senate Bill 218.
All right, is there a second? The motion is ITL on Senate Bill 218. Is there a second? Representative
second.
Allegro will second, all right. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. I mean, it's basically the same argument as for 219. You know, I've certainly known people who've had breast cancer, died of it. I don't know what kind. It's not a matter of being unsympathetic. And there's a lot of public awareness raising events, activities, symbols, and all of that for breast cancer in general, which I support. I don't really think that adding an official day, which is basically going to generate in some, press release of a proclamation, which is, I think, all it's going to do is of any point at all and is going to contribute to that awareness. Thank you.
Representative Marsh?
Yes, one of the differences, however, is that October 13th is National Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day. And I think it's appropriate for the state of New Hampshire to join the other states in recognizing that event.
Okay, anyone else? Representative Sitek?
While I agree with Representative Lekis, I'm not going to vote with him. I still want my amendment. So I'll be voting against ITL.
Representative Goley, and then Pearson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I agree. It is already observed nationally. I don't think bringing an amendment forward is the appropriate thing to do. I think the appropriate thing to do is for those involved with this should approach the governor for a proclamation through his office and not through the legislature. To me, that's the more appropriate thing. That brings out folks, gets them down on the front steps as he does the proclamation on that day, versus just putting it in statute and leaving it with all the others. As I look up October 13th, all the other recognitions that go on, World Thrombosis Day, International Plain Language Day, Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day, National Yorkshire Pudding Day, National Train Your Brain Day, and it goes on and on. I think it's more appropriate to have it done that day and have the governor do it and bring it forth to him versus just putting it in statute. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am conflicted. I'm not a big fan of the days. That's not a secret. But in this particular case, it being a recognized national day already, I can't recall what we did last October 13th, what the governor did. I would imagine it was recognized. So I guess the matter is, do we codify this into a state day to coincide with the national recognition? I'm looking at a veto-proof majority out of the Senate. It's 17 senators on this bill. This one I'm probably okay with. As a general rule, I'm not, but considering that there's already a lot of national attention, which is why I'm conflicted. The national attention that exists for this bill is substantial. So does this really add to what the state of New Hampshire is doing over and above the substantial recognition that occurs at the national level? I don't know if that answers yes or no. I don't know that it necessarily is, but this is why I'm conflicted on this one.
Representative Allegra.
Oh, I didn't realize I had my hand up, but I did never get to comment on my second. I'm going to provide a little personal context to this. I don't often do that, but I have had a beloved sister who passed away from metastatic breast cancer. I'm certain that she wouldn't want this kind of thing. I don't think it does anything to further the cause. I think it's largely symbolic. And with that kind of loss, I don't know how else to put it, I'm not into symbolism. Thank you.
Representative Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think that everyone in this committee probably knows of someone that has lost a life due to breast cancer. I don't think that anybody is not sensitive to that at all. But the question that I would have, and it was after Representative Pearson was speaking, is exactly what would making the day, what exactly is it going to do? And I did look up to see in if there was something national, and I did look it up because I do know that there's certainly a lot of events. I know that there's the city of Pittsburgh, they have a big marathon on that day. So I think going along the lines that we've done with all of the other awareness days or awareness months is probably with nationally is probably the better way to go. I just don't know that this is going to do anything other than doing what we already do nationally. And I think that I really botched what I was trying to say, but I think that I got the point across, so I apologize.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? Representative Sajak.
Representative Pearson, are you talking about forever or the putative amendment that I'm talking about?
The national recognition of this day is, I would presume, in perpetuity. So I'm going to agree with Representative Goley that a single turning this into a single year event is a waste of time. It's either we're going to do it or we're not. That's I appreciate the senators sticking around to watch us make sausage here, but I don't know that a amendment's gonna change this at all.
Okay, Representative Sajak.
There's a little bit more to it. Representative Goley, the governor is very aware of ceremony, and he can sign a bill with as much fanfare as he can make a proclamation. The difference is that this shows it's not just the governor, but the legislature's behind this. So I'm fighting for a cause I'm not ardently interested in, but for the sake of arguing, I'll argue.
Excellent. Representative Goley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just a quick follow-up. Representative Sitek, I understand where you're coming from, but I think in doing this, we will be doing this yearly instead of the governor if we go down this road.
I have a faster follow-up, so what?
Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anyone who has a real comment or concern, questions? Sorry. Okay. So, no one else? The motion is inexpedient to legislate on Senate Bill 218, and the clerk can call the roll.
Representative Rhodes?
Yes.
The clerk adamantly votes no, yes. Representative Pearson?
Yeah.
Representative Jacob, no, he's still not here. Representative Lekis?
Yes.
Representative
Yes.
Allegro, the clerk voted, wait a minute. Yeah, I've, excuse me, I'm going to restart because I have reversed, I've been thinking ought to pass when it's ITL. Representative Rhodes, you have voted
Yes.
for, okay. The clerk votes no on ITL. Representative Pearson, how do you vote on ITL?
Yes.
Representative Lekis, how do you vote on ITL?
Yes.
Representative Allegro?
Yes.
Representative Bailey? Yes. Representative Lanzara?
Yes.
Representative Santo Nastaso?
Yes.
Representative Goley?
Yes.
Let's go on. Representative Schuett?
No.
Representative Judy?
Oui, cher honorable. Oui, monsieur.
Oh, oui. Representative Schmidt?
Yes.
Representative Marsh?
No.
Representative Fellows?
Yes.
Representative Groda?
No.
Representative O'Brien?
No.
And the chair?
Yes.
Twelve to 5. What's wrong with you people? Okay. 12 to 5, ITL prevails.
Thank you. The motion passes 12 to 5. It will not be on consent. Is there anyone who would care to write a minority report? Okay, seeing none, we'll not have a minority report.
So just for the senator's benefit, this committee is
Yes.
exceptionally consistent when it comes to proclamations of days. Just so you understand the background on this.
Is,
Not all of us are consistent.
We need renegades.
we did. Is there anyone who has another bill that they think is ready for exec? Okay, seeing none, in that case, we'll close the executive session. Have a nice afternoon, enjoy the sunshine. We're back tomorrow, and we will
Then,
deal with them.
then.
I didn't.
We're not, we don't have, what are we back for tomorrow?
We have a number of hearings.
We do, okay, all right.
Yep, kind
More minutes.
yes, all right,
I wasn't,
you're entitled. I mean,
sorry, started the clock.
you're entitled, really. Tomorrow we have 2, 4, 5 bills plus a non-germane amendment.
Another night.
What's that?
There goes another night.
Excellent. We will be, I saw we got it, you got a note of congratulations and an agreement from the board.
Yeah.
They sent it, well, I got it at least.
Oh, that, yes.
They're good for it.
No, we had a good meeting with them.
Yeah. Yes, sir.